There is a very naive, often simplistic view that certain ideologies whereby tyranny, repression, oppression, and just on the whole collective insanity are carried out by these ideologies, that the founders of these ideologies or the followers of these ideologies, they are ill-intended or they are malicious people in nature, or they're parts of some great conspiracy to subvert the truth or mislead mankind or cause mass tyranny on the earth. Such a simplistic reading, though, fails to contextualize why these people have developed the ideas they have, the intellectual and spiritual journeys they've been on, and it fails to humanize this experience of theirs and the end results of it properly. As such, it fails to account for the very human nature of such developments. It also fails to account for the very human nature of ending up in insane loops of irrationality and illogical thinking, which can justify such acts. If, for example, we are to look at certain political movements or certain extremist religious movements, or just on the whole certain cultish movements, we find this pattern to be true. Oftentimes we find good intended people who are trying to make the world a better place, who are trying to bring about change in this world, who are trying to solve the fundamental questions of life. We have to understand that this is a very human endeavor. Man has struggled in the world for thousands of years. He has to come to terms with the very cruel nature of the world and the very random and chaotic nature of it. Man has had to come to terms over thousands and thousands of years with the cruel nature of this world and of the various problems in it, the various problems with society, and hence various movements, whether over the generations, the thousands of years, the centuries, the decades, even very recently, have attempted to grapple with these ideas and concepts. Human civilization and society in general is a constantly developing endeavor and subject to human effort. Many a times these people are seeking either to come closer to a higher spiritual entity, or to come closer to a set of principles which they think will bring about fairness, or even as simple as to bring about a good world for their family and their community to exist in. Such are the intentions that humans generally tend to carry within them. Is it so fair then to suggest that people are merely conspiring, or are merely trying to subvert the truth, or they're just completely and utterly ill-intended? Sure, there might be an aspect of that there might be an aspect of evil and maliciousness, but it's not so simple to label a person as pure and utter evil or the complete embodiment of evil. People do have a conflict in nature. Innately they are born sinless, perhaps. They don't have an inherent sin as such, but neither are they infallible. They are subject to mistakes, and they are subject to the basic carnal animal desires. Yet, no matter how hard man may try to transcend that, he is still subject to those very human feelings. Many of them are very dark, many of them are very irrational, and they can lead to incredible acts of tyranny, of oppression. Yet there's a very human aspect to all of it. Man is trying to rationalize all of these through his intellect, which grants him this kind of superiority over most of the creation, so to speak. He has the ability to subjugate the lands, the waters, the creatures, and hence he is unique in his abilities, in his power to bring about such tyranny, and in an ironic sense, his rational faculties can in fact allow for such irrational regimes, irrational systems, irrational societies in the first place to arise. As such, it's not so simple as to say that certain people are the embodiment of evil or they are pure evil. Rather, they start off with good assumptions often, they start off with good intentions, but those good intentions end up paving the way to hell. Because whilst they may have thought that they could solve some of the big questions of life, some of the big questions of society, they could bring about meaning to people, they can alleviate people's suffering, they often fall into loops of irrational thinking, illogical thinking. They fall into severe mistakes. They don't account for certain real world variables. They overlook certain aspects of reality. And as such, they fall into utter madness. And as the great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, that in individuals madness is rare, but in groups, in collectives, in institutions, in eras, in societies, it is the rule and it is the norm. There's an important point here that whilst we can humanize people, whilst we don't have to dehumanize them, whilst we can contextualize their experiences, we can contextualize their end conclusions about the world and their end judgments about the world, that does not mean that they are unaccountable. They are still accountable for their actions, they are still accountable for any evil they may have done, and so whilst we can humanize them, we cannot hold them unaccountable, and they must be held responsible for any evil that they do. Yet this does not necessitate a hatred for them, rather simply as such a dislike or a hatred for what they have committed. It's also important to note that often the supposed justifications that we can give for seemingly insane phenomena or seemingly insane things that we may like or we may find good, these tend to be rationalizations where we attempt to make them sound rational, we attempt to make them sound plausible, but really and truly they aren't. And it perhaps is an even bigger issue in our current society where common discussions and common polemics are so polarized, and where due to the kind of crises, the spiritual crises, the material crises for many other civilizations, but especially the spiritual crises in the West, this discussion becomes even more emotional, and the good intentions that people do have end up leading to even worse consequences and even worse end conclusions about the world often.